As I met Mr. Gandhi in the capacity of an opponent, I have a feeling that I know him better than most other people because he had opened his real fangs to me, you see, and I could see the inside of the man, you see, while others who generally went there as devotees, you see, saw nothing of him except the external appearance which he had put up as a Mahatma.
This was late Baba Sahib Dr. Bhim Rao Ambedkar talking about Mahatma Gandhi in an interview. In this episode of Yugpurush on Earshot, we are going to tell you about the life and times of Dr. Ambedkar. Nearly 6.5 decades after his death, how is Dr. Ambedkar, the chairman of drafting committee which gave independent India its constitution, remembered today? Well, it would not be wrong to say his name in polarizing, a messiah for some people and disliked by some others, who see him as the architect who is responsible for caste-based reservation in educational institutions and government jobs in India. Various political parties have repeatedly tried to appropriate Dr. Ambedkar's legacy. So strong were his views on certain issues, including Hindutva, that it is hard to imagine that had been alive today how the social media would have reacted to his strong views. Dr. Ambedkar's contribution to the constitution and legal and social framework of the country is very well known. However, very few people know that he was one of the leading economists of his time. Dr. Ambedkar was also a fierce critic of many religions who finally embraced Buddhism in his life. With the farmers in some parts of the country protecting against the 3 new farm laws, it is interesting to tell you that Ambedkar wanted to save small farmers from the clutches of money lenders. However, look at the irony that despite a person of Dr. Ambedkar having taken up the issue nearly 7 decades ago, there has not been much improvement in the farmers' plight till date. Farmers' suicides in parts of the country is a burning example of their plight. Another largely unknown fact about Dr. Ambedkar was his struggle for women's rights. Maternity rights for women was a part of his vision, and some of the facilities that pregnant women get today can be attributed to Dr. Ambedkar. Let us try and dust off some of the important and interesting incidents in the life of a Dalit icon, Dr. Ambedkar, for you. Dr. Bhim Rao Ambedkar was born on 14th April 1891 in the Mehau region of Madhya Pradesh in a poor Dalit family, in what is today known as Dr. Ambedkar Nagar. He was the youngest of the 14 children of Ramji Maloji Sakpal and Bhimbai Sakpal. Dr. Ambedkar's father was a subedar in the army, and he lost his mother in 1896 when he was barely 5 years old. He was brought up by his grandmother in difficult circumstances. It was an era in which untouchability was widely prevalent and Dalits were subjected to social and economic discrimination at every level. The situation was so bad that it was almost impossible for Dalit children to get admission in schools. And if at all they were admitted, they faced discrimination daily. However, his father did not get deterred by all this and sent his son to school. And in place of the family surname Sakpal, he named his son Ambedkar. A Brahmin teacher, Krishnji Keshav Ambedkar, later changed his surname to Ambedkar. His childhood was full of difficulties and faced caste discrimination at every step, which actually filled Ambedkar with bitterness towards Brahmins, and he vowed to fight for ending discrimination in the society. In his school days, Ambedkar, along with other Dalit children, used to be made to sit outside the class separately, and they would not touch either the utensils of water or the water itself. In case Dalit students were thirsty, they were made to sit under a tap. In his book, No Peon, No Water, Ambedkar wrote that a school peon was given the duty of providing drinking water to Dalit students, and in case a peon was not available, they had to go thirsty throughout the day. When he was 6 years old, his family shifted to what we call Mumbai today, and his father got him admitted to Elphinstone High School. Ambedkar was the only child in his family to pass the high school and took admission in Elphinstone College in 1907 when he was 16 years old. It was a big achievement for a Dalit student from a poor economic background to get admission in this college. Ambedkar was facilitated by his community when he passed the high school exam, though he tried to convince his elders that it was not a big achievement. Among the gifts he got on the occasion was Gautam Buddha's biography from his grandfather. Remember, he had adopted Buddhism in the later year of his life. He was married at the age of 15 with a 9-year-old Ramabai. It was the time of child marriages, and the entire matter was organized by their parents. By the year 1912, a 21-year-old Ambedkar was graduate in political science and economic from the Bombay University. He had also got a job in Baroda government, but had to return to Bombay due to the illness of his father, who unfortunately passed away a year later. After the death of his father, Ambedkar decided to go to America for higher studies. He secured the Baroda State Scholarship, which had been set up by Baroda's Gaikwad, Sayaji Rao Gaikwad III. This scholarship was to help bright students in pursuing higher education in Columbia University, from where Ambedkar completed his MA in economics. During postgraduate studies, Ambedkar wrote a thesis on ancient Indian commerce and national dividend of India, a historic and analytical study at that time. Ambedkar also presented a paper titled Castes in India, Their Mechanism, Genesis and Development. After completing his PhD from the Columbia University, Ambedkar chose London School of Economics as his next destination. However, he had to return to India in 1917 due to an abrupt end to his scholarship by the Baroda State. Since Ambedkar education was sponsored by the Baroda State, therefore, it was obligation on him to serve the state. He joined the service and was appointed by the military secretary of the state. Ambedkar, however, left his job soon. He had a large family to take care of. Therefore, Ambedkar tried his hand in many professions. But caste discrimination proved to be a curse at every step. He even began a business of investment consultancy. But as soon as the clients would come to know about his caste, they would withdraw any work given to him. A year later, in 1918, Ambedkar started teaching political economy in Seriham College of Commerce and Economics. Though the behavior of his students was good with him, but fellow professors had no hesitation in discriminating against him. Ambedkar was not even allowed to drink water from a common jug. This actually proved to be a turning point in his life, and Ambedkar stepped into social activism from here to rid the Dalits of their precarious positions in the society. When the South Brow Committee was working on the Government of India Act 1919, it invited Ambedkar to testify before the committee. It was here that Ambedkar for the first time mooted the idea of a separate electorate as well as reservation on caste and religion lines. A year later, Ambedkar started a weekly titled Mook Nayan from Kolhapur in 1920, which was a hit with the readers. Through this weekly, Ambedkar used to train his guns at the political class, since he believed that the politicians were not doing anything to end the social evils like caste untouchability. Such was Ambedkar's passion for education that in 1921 he again returned to London to complete his unfinished degree and went on to complete a doctorate in law from the prestigious Gray's Inn. When he finally returned to India after completing all the degrees that he deserved for, Ambedkar began working as a practicing lawyer. Among his first cases were defending non-Brahmin leaders from their comments against Brahmins, since he believed that this caste was mainly responsible for the problem faced by the country. Ambedkar's struggle against caste discrimination continued alongside his work as a lawyer, and while practicing in Bombay High Court, he set up an organization, Bahishkari Hitkari Sabha, with the intention of upliftment of the downtrodden castes. By the year 1927, Ambedkar had launched a full-fledged movement against caste discrimination. His main demands included opening water resources for all and entry of all into temples. By the end of the year, Ambedkar had publicly burned copies of religious text Manusmriti, which according to him gave rise to caste discrimination and other social evils. Before burning copies of Manusmriti, Dr. Ambedkar said, "Let's destroy the authority of ancient Hindu scriptures that are born to inequality. Religion and slavery are not compatible." Dr. Bhim Rao Ambedkar was slowly becoming a big name in the world of untouchables, and at the same time, his bitterness with the political class was growing. He wanted the political class to pay attention to the discrimination being faced by lower castes due to the caste system, but he was disappointed time and again. As we had told you in the beginning, Dr. Ambedkar did not have good relations with Mahatma Gandhi. He was of the opinion that Gandhiji no doubt was an important part of Indian history, but he had done nothing to build a new Indian era. Dr. Ambedkar said that people of India had forgotten Gandhiji after independence and his assassination, but the ruling Congress was keeping him alive, celebrating his birthday and declaring a public holiday that day. Earlier in 1930, Dr. Ambedkar had even opposed Gandhiji's salt satyagraha. In 1931, given his growing popularity, Ambedkar was invited by the Britishers for the Round Table Conference in London, where he had sharp exchanges with the Mahatma on the issue of separate electorates for the untouchables. Dr. Ambedkar won this round, since the Britishers agreed to his demand for separate electorates. When the Britishers announced a communal ward for the separate electorate, Gandhiji was in Pune's Yerawada jail and he opposed it. The Mahatma was so angry that he wrote straight to the then British Prime Minister. And when his demand was not accepted even after a month, Gandhiji resorted to an indefinite hunger strike. Dr. Ambedkar opposed Gandhiji's fast and said, "It would have been better had the Mahatma gone on a fast unto death for the country's independence." He had termed the fast as anti-Dalit. Due to the indefinite fast, Gandhiji's health was deteriorating and his supporters had by then turned completely against Ambedkar. Due to the growing pressure, Dr. Ambedkar reached Pune's Yerawada jail on 24 September 1932 and reached an agreement with Gandhiji's, which is known by the name of Pune Pact. According to this pact, Ambedkar agreed to give up the separate electorates under the communal ward, and in return, he managed to get the number of reserved seats for the National Assembly to be almost doubled by 78 to 148. Also, he managed to ensure a reasonable amount in education funds for Dalits. Ambedkar also extracted an assurance that Dalit would not face any discrimination in government jobs. Though later, Ambedkar termed Gandhiji's fast as a drama. There was nothing noble in the fast. It was a foul and filthy act, he later said. In 1935, Dr. Ambedkar was made the principal of Bombay Government Law College. He was also the president of the government's body of Delhi University's prestigious Ramjas College. He settled down in Bombay and constructed his house, which is called Rajgarh. He was so fond of reading that in his home library there were more than 50,000 books. The year 1935 was also a sad year in his life, since Dr. Ambedkar lost his wife Ramabai that year after her prolonged illness. It was also an important year in his life, since it was in 1935 only that Dr. Ambedkar embraced Buddhism, and he also appealed to his followers to give up Hinduism. During conversion, Dr. Ambedkar had said, he might have been born as an untouchable Hindu, but he will certainly not die as one. Talking about his political life, let us tell you that Dr. Ambedkar formed the Independent Labour Party in 1936, which won 13 seats in the Central Vidhan Sabha, and he himself was elected to the Bombay Vidhan Sabha, of which he remained a member till 1942, and also worked as an opposition leader in the House. He was active in the independence movement also, and in the 1940 Lahore session, he had opposed the Muslim League demand for creating of Pakistan. He analyzed the entire issue in the book Thoughts on Pakistan. Scholar Venkat Dhulipala says, this book had brought a storm in Indian politics. It is also said that this book influenced the dialogue between the Congress and Muslim League, ultimately leading to partition. It is interesting to know that Dr. Ambedkar was as big a critique of Islam as he was of Hindu religion. He was a big champion of women's rights and was against practices like child marriages and other practices which were against women. Despite all differences between Dr. Ambedkar and Gandhiji, the Congress acknowledged his intellect and was made the first law minister of the country in 1947. On 29 August 1947, Dr. Ambedkar was made the chairman of the Constitution Drafting Committee. He read the constitution of at least 60 countries before beginning the work of drafting the constitution. He was of the firm opinion that all citizens should get equal rights and all customs which discriminate should be done away with. Dr. Ambedkar was also a strong votary of women's rights. After 2 years of elaborate debate and discussions, the Constitution Assembly adopted the Constitution on 26 November 1949. When the Constitution finally came into existence on 26 January 1950, it also began the era of caste-based reservation in India, a controversial issue which no political party wants to touch. Though initially this reservation was merely for 10 years, but it is being extended since till now. Very few people know that Dr. Ambedkar was opposed to the special status for Jammu and Kashmir under Article 370 of the Constitution, which was finally revoked in August 2019 by the Parliament. It is said this article was included in the Constitution against Dr. Ambedkar's wishes. In the year 1951, when the Hindu Code Bill was not brought before the Parliament, an angry Dr. Ambedkar resigned from the Nehru cabinet. In this bill, succession and gender equality were the key components. In the first Lok Sabha elections in India in 1952, Dr. Ambedkar contested as an independent but lost. He was, however, nominated to the Rajya Sabha the same year by the Nehru government. When we talk about Dr. Ambedkar, what comes to mind naturally is the Constitution and reservation. Do you know he was the first Indian who got a PhD in economics from a foreign university? A stalwart of Maharashtra politics and former Union Minister Sharad Pawar had once famously remarked that India achieved food security only due to Dr. Ambedkar's vision. In the decade of 1940s, Dr. Ambedkar had started encountering health issues. He was taking insulin to manage his diabetes. In Mumbai, Dr. Sharda Kabir suggested to him he needs a constant companion to take care of his food regularly and also his medical requirements. Therefore, Dr. Ambedkar remarried in 1948 with Dr. Sharda herself, who changed her name after marriage to Savita Ambedkar. After prolonged illness, Dr. Ambedkar breathed his last on 6th December 1956. His last rites were performed according to the Buddhist religion in Dadar, which was attended by lakhs of his followers. His Delhi residence on 26th Alipur Road was converted into a memorial in his name. In 1990, the then VP Singh's National Front government conferred India's highest honor, Bharat Ratna, on him. His birthday anniversary on 14th April is now celebrated as Ambedkar Jayanti. This was the fascinating life story of Dr. Ambedkar. In the next episode of Yugpurush, we'll be back with another story on Earshot. Stay tuned to www.earshot.in.